Welcome back to the Hot Mess to Awesomeness podcast, a show all about inspiring smart, busy women to put their happiness at the top of their to-do list. Join your host and life coach, Dion Thompson, as she chats with amazing women who have figured out how to make their happiness a priority, and more importantly, what it's really like to go from hot mess to awesomeness. And now, on with the show. Welcome, everyone, to the Hot Mess to Awesomeness podcast. I am your host and life coach. I got the giggles. Oh, just had the best frickin' dance party I have ever had in a very long time. I'm so grateful for every dance party. This one really spoke to me. All three of your songs, two of them from The Greatest Showman. Shut the front door, shut the back door, shut the windows. That was awesome. Loved it. It was exactly what this being needed today.
I'm so glad.
A little jolt, a little energy resurgence, perhaps. It's happened before. It will happen again. I tend to have some deep physical / emotional responses to some music. Some it's positive music, some it's not. The lyrics don't matter, but there are some songs that just go right inside and then like stuff flies out my eyes. So that happened, and I just look at it and go, well, that's what was supposed to happen. So thank you, Hollie, for your songs, for being my guest, and just for your general awesomeness. So let's talk about your general awesomeness just for a moment. I had the pleasure of meeting you at a in-person gathering with the Wine Women and Wellbeing Midland community. Yes, you heard that right. Wine Women Wellbeing all together at the same time. And yes, it was that awesome.
And I think I actually bombarded you with my being when we met. I think I almost ran on top of you.
I think there was some mutual love there. Don't worry about that. It was a really fantastic afternoon. It was in the summer. It was glorious outside. And just the opportunity. I remember we sat down, we started chatting. I think you weren't even sitting yet. You were kind of like kneeling.
Crouching.
Yeah. And we were like, boom, 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 go. Yes, this, that. Just what I like to call, well, I didn't coin this, Jason Silva did. And so if you know Jason Silva, you know he's a fucking brilliant mind. But he talks about brain coupling, which is literally from a energy level, the vibration of your thoughts are in full alignment with someone else's, and you come together and those energy fields couple. And so you just kind of lose time, you lose space. And that is what happened. And it was glorious. And I'm so grateful. Then to find out we live very close to each other. Our children are the same age. They like each other.
They go to the same school,
right? It's just all been oh, yes. And so we've had some wonderful opportunities to connect. And the more I learn about why you do what you do, and we haven't even said what that is yet, the more in love I am with you and why you are here on this planet. So let everybody know kind of the what you do, so that they're very quickly are going to go, oh, I get it. That makes sense that Dion's in love with her because she does all those awesome things. So yes, let everybody know.
So I run Hollie Crome Holistic Wellness, and primarily I focus on helping women balance their gut and their hormones so that they can have more energy, more confidence in their bodies, and ultimately more joy in their lives. I created a program called Vibrant Health that looks at 7 aspects of health and wellness that can enable women to build ultimately their own health and wellness lifestyle that works exactly for them and nobody else. And that's the beautiful part of it, because our bodies are all so different and we do not need another one-size-fits-all approach.
No.
And that's why this program is so powerful for women, in that it helps them figure out what it is that they want each aspect of their health and wellness to look like, and then to go out and do that thing.
Yes, please. Love. And I love the multiple points of light approach. I've always been a big fan of looking at different ways in which to come at a situation so that you can feel there's some flexibility and potential in what it is that you're doing. When it
Hmm.
comes to changing patterns, behaviors, and habits, we all know that if you try one way and that's the only way that you're committed to doing and it doesn't work, it can feel really derailing and really
Yeah.
self-sabotaging. So
Hmm.
love that you are looking at multiple facets in relation to health. And of course, love that it is a unique, personalized approach. So
Well,
yes,
and that's
please, all the
that's
good
the whole
things.
premise of it, right? Because you're right. If we go to set out to change habits and then we find that they don't work, we experience that sense of failure because we're like, well, it worked for, Amy over there.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, no, our bodies don't work like that. Right? So,
So, Holly, because I know and because I've experienced it personally, this level of understanding and awareness of what it takes and the level of commitment or approach that it takes
mhm,
for true transformation to occur, it normally doesn't just, we're not born with this knowledge because, of course, society does not necessarily promote that type of growth and evolution of women. So
mhm.
that might be a whole other topic. But
Yes, it is.
um, I know for me personally, I had to experience a lot of hot mess shit in
Mhm,
order to come to the awareness and the learnings that I have now. So I know that you're in the same boat. So
mhm.
tell us about what sort of upheaval or gut wrenching, messy story brought you to this deep knowing. And not only that, the passion and the drive to then follow that knowing to then bring it to other women in the world. So what the hell happened?
Oh, well, there's been a few moments, but I'll talk about the one that led to the whole idea of empowering women to find out what works for them and ultimately to prioritize themselves and learn how to say no, right? Because that's a big part. We as women, again, like you said, we're socialized to say yes, not to say no. And what happened was, it's very comical now. It was not at the time. I have two children. I had two children, uh, Julia and Gregor, and my husband and I decided that we were going to be done having babies. Two kids was enough. My husband's from Scotland, so we're always traveling, and things are built for families of four, right? So we were done having kids, and then COVID started, and I made a joke in my kitchen that first day that we were all told to stay home about how there's going to be so many COVID babies. I was like, suckers, so many COVID babies, right? And then 3 weeks later, was pregnant. so,
Ding, ding, ding.
so I was one of those people, and it was a very challenging moment for me because we were done having babies. I had just changed jobs. And as a type A people pleaser, I was
Mm,
very concerned about what my employer would think about the fact that I was going to start this job being pregnant and be on my way out.
mhm,
And then I went into that job, and it was a big shift. Just the job alone was a big transition for me. And then to be going into that job pregnant was a big transition for me. And then to be going into that job with COVID on top of that was like, it was like these things were just stacking. And then you stack on top of that I was the type A people pleaser that had to do everything perfectly. And it created this perfect storm of burnout, essentially.
mhm,
So I was at this job and I was going to finish working at Christmas, and things were not going well. The job wasn't going well. I found it very stressful. I then was diagnosed with gestational diabetes in my pregnancy, and the kicker to managing gestational diabetes is keeping your stress levels low. And I was not keeping my stress levels low with the job that I had, and I ended up going on leave 3 weeks early
mm,
because I just said, enough's enough. And I was still dealing very much with the mental mind bend that I was going to have another baby, because in my head we were done, and what's that going to look like? Like, how are we going to manage that? What is my maternity leave going to look like? And I was the crazy lady that actually told my boss I was going to come back 12 weeks after giving birth, and I was like, right, like, because I was so concerned about what she thought of me leaving, right? And so I had my beautiful baby girl Isla, and I call her, I say, all my children are blessings, but she was my miracle because she is the one that started this whole journey because going through that situation, those series of events, led me to start to really turn inward and look at what I needed to feel good every day.
Mm.
And it led me to cleaning up my nutrition. I trained in nutrition in university, so that was something that was easy for me to do, but I was neglecting it for a long time. I started looking at what kind of movement I enjoyed after having her. I started looking at stress reduction and stress management, and I just became obsessed. I became obsessed with all of these health and wellness things. And then it got around to my birthday, and I was like, wow, I just feel like I feel so great. Like, why do I feel this fantastic? I'm in a situation where, you know, I shouldn't feel fantastic because I'm on EI and EI sucks. Right? And like, we're still in the middle of a pandemic, and but I feel great. I don't care, right?
Mm.
And I was just like, wow, it's because I'm treating my body well. I'm
Mm.
eating the things that work for my body. I'm moving in ways that work for my body. I'm keeping my stress levels down via meditation and yoga and talking to people. And like, what are the other things to do? I'm making self-care a really big priority in my life. I'm making sure that I'm stacking my habits positively so that I have positive habits that don't feel challenging, right?
Mm.
So it was that whole hot mess journey that then led to the creation of the Vibrant Health. And it's something that I live through every day now because I know that it works because I've been through it, right?
Yes. Oh, okay. So yay you, number one, because that's awesome. And there's a lot of things that you said, but one thing that you said that when you started to explore some things that you kind of already knew, and we're just
Mm-hmm.
bringing them back into the fold. So some of the nutrition knowledge, and then looking at movement, where I would say movement is everywhere. Like
Yeah.
everybody, yoga and stretching and going to the gym, like that stuff. That information is readily available and it's talked about, and people are that's a go-to
Yeah.
usually when it's like I'm going to do something for myself. That's a go-to.
Yeah.
But then you got obsessed, and I wanted to comment a little bit on what it means to be fully in alignment
Mm-hmm.
with what truly matters to you, and what it's like when you're not.
Mm.
So, the doors started to open. You were potentially being primed for accepting uncertainty with Isla, because
Mm-hmm.
that she was coming.
Yep.
It
Yep.
didn't matter how many babies you thought you were going to have. This is
Yep.
different now.
Yep.
Um, but maybe want to take you back a little bit, sort of pre Isla, maybe even pre kid, and talk about like the possibility, because you had the nutrition knowledge, the
Mm-hmm.
movement knowledge is everywhere, yet you weren't doing it. So,
Yeah.
you know, tell me a little bit about your readiness, about becoming aware of that alignment, because you may
Mm.
have called it, being obsessed about it, but I would call it creating ease
Yeah.
with what is meant for you. And so when we
Yeah.
up level, when we move into those spaces of full alignment, full connection, it can feel like obsession, because now it's just like, yes, this, yes, this, yes, yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that goes with this, and this makes this better. And oh my goodness, right?
Yeah.
Um, but do you remember a time when it wouldn't have mattered what someone had come up to tell you about how great all these things were, but you would have been like, new? Um, and
Um, yeah. So not in terms of nutrition and movement,
right.
because I mean, and another story that like I was told I would never have children without medical intervention, and
Mhm.
I would need pills to do it. And I was like, watch me. And I changed my nutrition and my movement, and lo and behold, I now have 3 children.
Right.
So that was one part of it. But if you were to tell me that my mindset was the foundation to everything else, I would have been like, okay, like you eat the broccoli and the broccoli does the things, like happy days. But no, right? Your mindset is the thing that's
Mhm.
going to get your nutrition on track, that's going to get your movement to where you want it to be. Your mindset is what's going to get you the energy levels you want to have,
Right.
right?
Right.
And that's what I wouldn't believe. And the hysterically funny, ironic part is that my husband's a mental performance coach, and I've been talking mindset with him for years. And it took me going through this moment to be like, I got to change my mindset, right?
Right. Right. It's interesting, mindset, we talk about it all the time.
Hmm.
I also deal in mindset. That's very much about what I do. But really, mindset is just what you believe about yourself,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? And so usually those beliefs are so not in our awareness.
Yeah.
And it often takes something to like jostle things down. I say down there,
Hmm.
could be anywhere, could be
Yeah.
wherever you're holding your stuff out of your awareness.
Yeah.
It often takes like this break. Sometimes it's a breakdown. In my case, it was a couple of them. We'll call them
Hmm.
breakthroughs now. But the breakthrough comes when you start to question what it is that you believe about yourself,
Exactly.
right? So to believe that the broccoli does the work and I'm not involved.
Hmm.
There's always stuff underneath that. Well, usually it has to do with worthiness and power and
Yes.
lovability, but
Hmm.
um, the the magic, hearing your story and knowing, the miracle that is this child, but it's
Hmm.
this opportunity to, in a way, bring forth what is it you believe about yourself, because you believed you were having two children and that was firm belief. Well, that
Hmm.
belief changed, so what else can change? It really does
Yep.
open that door. So for the people who are listening, it doesn't have to be a painful breakthrough. It can be
Hmm.
something that brings all kinds of joy with it. It's our willingness to be present for
Hmm.
it, I think, and kind of go, okay, and then this is happening. What next? What
Yeah.
now? Right? Is that opportunity to take responsibility for our experience of life, accept what is happening. And that takes some time, depending on
Yeah.
the scenario. You had 9 months and then that was
Thankfully.
it. Yep. But tell me a little bit about what that moment of shift, of stepping into the like, oh, I'm here now.
Yeah. It was it's so funny because I want to tell you I don't know when that happened, but it's just like this light bulb went off, right? Like, and it's just, and it's the synchronicity of things. Series of events happened that led to this point. So I was literally on my couch one day. I was on Facebook. There was some Facebook ad about course creation, and my husband was thinking about making a photographer's, like a beginner's photographer course. So I was like, oh, cool, let's sign up to this. We'll learn something. I love learning things. Let's learn something. It's $37. So I was like, cool,
Yep.
check me in, right? Like, and then it started, and the girl, Jill Stanton, she did mindset coaching calls before the content every day. It was like a 5-day thing, and I was literally salivating when she was on giving the mindset thing, because it was all about the, do you believe you can do this? Like, what makes you somebody that can do this? If you don't believe you can do this, what is the person like that can do this? Okay, go be that person. Like, she was saying all these things, and I would turn around to my husband and be like, are you hearing this? Like, this is mind blowing. Like, I can't believe this. And I'm like, I can do this. I can't, like, I don't have to do, what everybody else says I need to do. I can do this, right?
Mhm.
I can choose to do this. And that, as soon as I said I can choose to do this, that's the moment, right? Because I had gone through my life thinking I had to do things for other people. I
Mhm.
had to go to university because my mom wanted me to. I had to get a teaching job because you graduate university and you get told literally to get into a box and stay there,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And I turned to my husband. I said, I can choose. I can make the choice,
Yes.
right? And that was the minute it was over. It,
Okay,
it was
so
over and it was beginning.
absolutely. That's the, if depending on how old you are, and I call it the TSN turning point because that's what I grew up with, was my dad
Mhm.
watching TSN. But anyway, and it's this moment where like life is everything before and then everything
Yeah.
after. It's this like
Hmm.
pivotal space. I
Yeah.
had one of those. It was just as powerful. And
Hmm.
it also included that moment I went, I get to do whatever the fuck I want.
Right.
I'm a grown up. Yes. Right. Like I vividly remember that moment as well, going, I had the limitations that had been placed on me and by
Hmm.
the external conditioning, and then the persona and narrative I was living in, was all just made up.
Yeah.
Like, right? So I'm glad that it was, as you described it, as like ding ding ding, because
Yeah.
that's really what it's all about. It's about a moment, and could be some random person talking that you never heard before, could be someone you've been listening to your entire life, who all of a sudden you go,
Yeah.
oh my god, I can hear them now. um, it comes with that pivotal moment of realization, like, I get to choose
Yes.
what I believe.
Yeah.
And end of story, end of
Yeah.
podcast. This is it.
That's the take-home message.
That's absolutely, oh shit. That's absolutely it.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a game changer. So
Yeah.
tell me how the game changed for you. I mean, I know that you
Oh my God.
you were, but I know what happened at the end because I know you now and I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But tell me about the messy middle, because I know that kind of like, you can decide for yourself, but then you have to go and
Yeah.
like tell mom, hey, this is what
Yeah.
I'm doing, and like
Yeah.
look down at your kids and go, I can't, okay,
Yeah.
I'm making air quotes here if you can't see me, but the security of the job that's supposed to look good on paper and supposed to shitty,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, tell me about that.
Okay, so I figured out I could choose things.
Mhm.
And as much as I trained in nutrition in university, I had been looking at this holistic nutrition course for a long time. Like, long time as in like probably 3+ years. And I was for some reason not doing it. And I had that moment, oh my God, I can choose. And then the next thing I know, I'm on the website, this course, being like, right? And again, things didn't make sense because the course was $4,000 and I'm on maternity leave at the time. Probably not the time that society would say, yes, go ahead and invest $4,000 in this course.
Mhm.
So I had to call my mom at this point because I was still at that point where I felt like I needed somebody to say to me that I could choose to do that. Like I still needed somebody else's permission a little bit. So I called my mom and I explained everything to her, and she goes, and she surprised me, do it. She's
Whoa.
like, I know, right? I almost fell off my couch when she told me that because I was expecting her not to tell me to do it. She's like, no, I think you should do it. You have started this journey. She was very aware of everything that I was going through and everything I had gone through with discovering I was unexpectedly pregnant and stuff. And she's like, no, I think that you should do it. You've been sitting on this for a long time. Like, do the payment plan, figure it out, but I think you should do it. And I was like, shit. Because if there was one person to tell me not to do something, it's your mom,
Right.
right? So I did it. And I said to my husband, I was going through putting the credit card information in. I was like, I could cry. I could cry. I didn't know why I could cry about it, but I could just cry because it meant that I was finally doing something that I wanted to be doing and that nobody else told me I needed to do or I should do. So I did that. And then all of a sudden, I was signing up to this businesswoman's group and I didn't know why, right? I was just, oh, I'm going to do this now. So I signed up for that. And then I was working on my money mindset because I had a very negative money mindset for a long time, my whole life. So I was working on that, and I had told my boss I was going to come back in the September. I extended from my 12-week leave to September.
Good.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's okay. I'm going to do this. I'm signing up for this business group. All of a sudden, I'm starting my business, right? Like, and I said to my husband, like, you know what? It would be selfish of me to hold this to myself, right? To hold this journey to myself when I know that there are women out there who are struggling with people pleasing, perfectionism, how they view their bodies, the resistance they feel towards their bodies, having that disconnect between their mind and their body. Like, I know this is happening. Every woman I've talked to in the world has one of these issues,
Yep.
right? So I was like, it would be selfish of me not to spread this joy, right? Because I know I have something that works. So I started my business. And then before I know it, one day I was out for a walk and I was like, I'm not going back to work till November. No plan. No plan at all.
Right.
And just email my boss, not coming back till November. I'm like, cool. Now what? Right. And so, as much as it was messy, it was kind of just like, okay, this is what I'm going to do next.
Right.
And this is what I'm going to do next. And then I got to August and I was like, all right, what's next? I'm going to start the Vibrant Health community because, again, women have been socialized to be in competition with each other and to always be the fastest, fittest, strongest, prettiest, whatever you want. And I'm not about that life. I hate it. And what can I create? I can create the Vibrant Health community where women come together in vulnerability to build their own health and wellness systems that work for them in their own ways. And I will help them with that through knowledge and support, but also to know that they can come somewhere and share their vulnerabilities with other women and not fear judgment,
Yeah,
right? So then I
absolutely.
created that. And then that's rolling right now. And we're
Yes.
doing that, and we're getting ready to do it again in January. We're getting ready to do it again in March or April, I think. And that's been the most beautiful experience ever, to see women come in and take those walls down,
Mhm.
right? It's
Yes.
amazing.
Love, 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 love everything about this. I
Yeah.
am, I am in awe of, I'm in awe and not surprised of the speed in which things unfold when they are in full alignment. And we were
Mm-hmm.
just talking about that before we hopped on, before we hit record about something else. But when it's meant to be for you, there's an ease to it.
Yeah.
And my friend Kim Short has this beautiful quote that she says a lot, such that I am now calling it Kim's quote, but it's flowing gets you places forcing never could.
Yes.
And we have been so conditioned to feel the force against us that that becomes the norm, right? The
Mm-hmm.
should, the pain, oh, it's supposed to hurt, it's supposed to be uncomfortable, I'm supposed to be unhappy here, work
Mm-hmm.
is hard and I should not like it, I have a terrible boss and all of those things. And the idea of being in flow, of being in alignment with what actually is meant for you physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, um, it will just, it just is, right? So yes, you had said it's messy, but at the same time it's just like, yeah, and then I'm doing this and then
Yeah.
this is, and so those pieces become not hard decisions, because if they're so in alignment with your values, which are non-negotiable to you, then
Mm-hmm.
things that align with those values then become non-negotiable. Yes, of course I'm going to go do this course. Now there was some wavering and there's still some
Mm-hmm.
pulling out of, like, breaking through those the conditioning and the self-sabotage and the inner critic stuff, but um again, I'm in awe of your how you moved through that, and then have now, because of your expertise and your capacity to educate others, are taking what you've learned and literally sharing it with the world. It
Mm-hmm.
is so important. And yes, there are many people saying many things, offering many opportunities, but there are women in the world connecting with you and how you do it. There are women in the world connecting with me and how I do what I do, right? Like, it's so important that we each find that place and then be willing to say it out loud,
Mm-hmm.
because the ripple effect is powerful. And you were
Yeah.
already seeing the ripple effect of this work that it sort of relatively new to put it out into the world, but it's so clear and it
Mm-hmm.
is so on point. And the women who you're working with are already seeing the, like, themselves manifest into new ways.
Yeah.
Just fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm so, so happy to have you in my world. And I know that you're working with a beautiful team of women,
Mm-hmm.
and I get to interview a few of them on the podcast very
Yeah.
soon. So I'm very excited about that. So if you're an avid listener, chances are you're going to hear about the vibrant health community a few more times, because she has drawn in some beautiful souls
Mm-hmm.
to support the community. And I'm very excited to share some of their hot mess to awesomeness journeys as well. So
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for you, Holly. I'm so excited for the world that you're creating that I get to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And for the women who are listening, and if you feel it's the time, like, then connect, because there is a place for you. There's support, there's love, there's being seen and heard and valued
Mm-hmm.
for just who you are in this moment. So thank you, Holly, for making that space happen.
My pleasure. I just love
Mm.
it.
So I will ask you, because I ask everybody, but if it happens to be the nugget we pulled out earlier, that's okay. But is there
Mhm.
anything that you would like to leave the listeners with today?
I definitely think, like, just like you said, if women are feeling like it's the time to focus on themselves, to invest in themselves, and to ultimately step into that woman that you dream of being,
Hmm.
then the Vibrant Health community is the place to be, because we are all about support and empowerment. And like you said, we have a team of coaches that have all walked their own journeys with burnout, with, you know, self-image and where their values are and all of that kind of stuff. And it is the most beautiful thing I've ever created. Aside from my children, I should disclaimer note. I've created children, so that
Yeah.
probably should come first.
Okay,
But
that's been noted. Yes.
yes, noted. Children come first. Okay, but it's the most beautiful thing that has come out of my brain, in terms of who I can pull into this to make that impact on the world and make that impact on women, because I don't believe that women should be walking around this world doing what everybody else tells them to do, right? And
Absolutely.
I want women to be able to step into their power. And when you step into your power, amazing shit happens.
Absolutely. So
And it's possible for everybody.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, my friend, for helping me and all the women of this planet to achieve my mission, which is to rewrite the narrative for the next generation. This is how we do it. We do it one day at a time, one step at a time, one conversation at a time, one woman at a time. And the impact is already being felt. So, yay,
Awesome.
us.
Yay,
Woo,
go girls.
woo! So, thank you, Hollie, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you to all the listeners tuning in or anybody who's watching on YouTube. Thank you so much. And we will see you very soon.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the show. Join Dion again next week to learn more about what you can do to go from hot mess to awesomeness.